Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that, let's be honest, affects all of us, breaking bad habits. And we're going to look at a pretty counterintuitive idea, one that suggests maybe, just maybe, we've been going about it all wrong.
You know that feeling, right? You tell yourself, okay, that's it. Tomorrow I'm done with this. But then tomorrow shows up and, well, you're right back where you started. It's this super frustrating cycle, isn't it? Try, fail, feel stuck. Rinse and repeat. So the traditional way to think about this is all about willpower. Just grit your teeth and push that giant boulder up the hill. But man, that is exhausting. So today we're going to explore a totally different approach. It's not about brute force, it's about building momentum, little by little until you're unstoppable. Okay, so let's dig into that for a second. Why does that willpower method fail us so often? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Willpower, it's not an infinite resource. It's more like a battery on your phone. You start the day at 100%, but every decision you make drains it. And once you're in the red, that's when that old habit just swoops right back in. But, and this is the cool part, this is where our source material introduces a really fascinating idea. It's called the motivation work cycle. And seriously, it's a total game changer because it flips the whole script. Get this, it says you don't have to wait to feel motivated to start. Okay, so here's the absolute core of the idea. We're all taught to, wait for that lightning bolt of inspiration to strike before we do anything, right? But the motivation work cycle says, nope, that's backwards. It says the action has to come first. Why? Because the action itself is what creates the motivation. It's like a self-fueling engine for change. You start it, and it keeps itself going. So how does this engine actually work? Well, it's all about this simple loop. It starts with one tiny, almost laughably small action. When you do it, you get what we call a small win. And that little feeling of success, that little, hey, I did a thing, that gives you a tiny boost of motivation. And that motivation makes taking the next action just a little bit easier. See? It's this awesome positive feedback loop. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in real life? How do we take this idea and, actually use it? Well, it all comes down to really harnessing the power of those small wins. And this quote from our source really nails it. Let's look at the key words here: small, achievable, and daily. This isn't about some huge one-time victory. No way. It's about the everyday practice of just collecting these little successes. And over time, that's what builds that massive, unstoppable momentum. All right, let's get super practical with this. Look at these examples. Instead of trying to just quit doomscrolling forever, which is huge, how about you just put your phone on the other side of the room for 10 minutes? That's your tiny action. Or instead of feeling guilty for skipping the gym, just focus on putting on your workout clothes. That's it. That's the win. The goal isn't this giant finish the project task. Nope. It's just write one single sentence. Literally anyone can do that. And that's all it takes to get this whole cycle started.
And you know what? This is the best part. This is what's so empowering about this whole idea. You don't have to wait for Monday. You don't need to feel super inspired or have a burst of energy. Real, actual change can start right now, today, with just one tiny little step.
I mean, that's it. That's the big secret. It's to start small. The whole point is to make that first action so easy, so ridiculously non-intimidating that you almost feel silly not doing it. You're not trying to leap up the entire staircase in one go. You're just looking at that very first step. That's all.
Seriously, the whole journey, breaking that habit you hate and building one you love, it all starts right here with just one little decision, one tiny, achievable action. That one thing, that's the spark. That's what lights the fuse for this whole amazing motivation cycle. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Forget about willpower for a second. Focus on momentum. Stop trying to make these massive, heroic leaps. Instead, just start collecting those small wins, which of course leaves us with one final, very important question for you. What's your one small win going to be today?